champions is not the experience anyone was expecting. Only Ox was able to predict that maybe the hangover would set in and Genji would beat them in the first one, but I think pretty unanimous on the votes against KT here.
Yeah.
Now, as we move into this third game, obviously a lot of champions are gone. The Ashe is gone. The Kalista being gone gives you a lot of flexibility as red side KT here. You don't have to worry about that one.
Ahri being banned is a really interesting one.
Yeah, they banned the Viego as well last game, potentially expecting that Ahri-Viego duo would come out. Really just trying to narrow down what BDD can play through here because he has just been so good.
Yep. It was Yone, Gwen, Neferi in game 1 for KT as their red side bans. Now you don't need to worry about the Gwen. Neferi, the only other real option here. We saw Vi actually banned on the blue side in game 1 by HLE, but this time it's going to be the Ahri instead that is taken away. BDD's champion pool is taking a bit of a hit. His Tristana looked fantastic, but that's Ahri and the Corki now taken away from him. And so I think Neferi going to be banned away here unless KT have something cooked up.
I think with a Vi ban, it makes sense to just also ban Neferi here and just take that away.
Didn't look fantastic on the Neferi.
Still, I still think it's a safe call to ban it. I agree with you, and I also think Neferi is a little bit overhyped. They will leave it up.
Okay.
I mean, Vi has been one of the better answers to the Neferi. That's why I thought banning both would make sense, but instead they will simply ban the Aurora, which has done a lot of lane dominance thus far in 2025, even with some of the nerfs and changes. Varus being up, though, makes it a pretty easy call, especially as the 80 carry pool thins out to get the best one. Does feel quite strong.
Well, it's going to need to be a Neferi pick, but what else is going to be locked away here?
And Neferi into Varus does feel pretty good, as Varus is pretty immobile. Neferi has lots of ways to gap close, can of course just avoid his ultimate with her W.
It really feels like a Cuz champion as well, so I'll be really disappointed if it isn't locked in. Doctom's MF going to be taken away first, but there is the Neferi. So I'm really happy to see this personally because I just feel like it fits Cuz. Like, this was the Viego guy. He loves playing squishy junglers.
Sejuani, they just grabbed the Jax here, I wonder.
Yeah, you could just, I think locking down a pretty strong top jungle sounds good.
This is cool because now if you want to grab the Gnar, which has been one of the best answers to this, you're going to lose the Rel. And the Rel is so quintessential with setting up these plays with the Misfortune, so you have to choose which one you want. They don't have to play Gnar into the Jax. You could just fight Fire with Fire. We've seen a lot of different champs into Jax, and we've even seen Jax win into Gnar. ZEUS in particular has done it quite a few times, but go for Cassante. That is certainly not what I expected with this draft here. It gives them a really nice front line, and it's hard to really stack up advantages on a Cassante and utilize the Jax to really put the Cassante behind because he's still going to be relevant, but
I like it, actually, because there's a lot of damage coming out of the jungle this time.
It's true. And he is very good into Lethality Varus. Makes it a little bit tougher to break through that front line, if it is Lethality Varus, in fact, that we are going to see.
Yep. Across the world, we've seen a lot more lethal tempo coming out of the Varus, but it can be hard to run unless you're able to outrange. And so far, KT not representing that much range. You can see the Akali going to be taken away from Zeka. We're going to try and remove some of his champion pool. And a lot of his champions are also gone.
Yeah, Relban should be coming through.
Yep, immediately.
That just makes a ton of sense, obviously. I wonder if KT ROLSTER will ban the Leona, which is one of the big problems for setting up Engage onto the Misfortune while she's trying to channel. They already have great ways to punish her with the Jax, Sejuani, and even the Varus while she is channeling ult, but Leona is another one of those picks that can be a big problem. See what they do go for, because it looks like that's not the theme. They'll take the Braum, which means the less lane dominance and the less powerful level 1. And Braum is really good into Neferi as well.
Yeah, really good into MF at the same time, so trying to avoid the door, not going to be as annoying. Nautilus is going to be taken away as well. So Engage at a premium right now.
Maybe they will just take the Leona themselves, but that does leave counterpick to Delight. Alistair's gone, so a pick that we often see into the Leona across many metas across the years is not available here. And they could go for a range support, but I don't know if that really makes sense here necessarily.
Bard could be an option, just because they do have Misfortune. You can use Tempered Fate to the ult, things
I
like
that. I actually think that's a really good idea.
It's going to be Pantheon locked in first.
Okay. And now we're looking for ZEUS' pick. I mean, it could be the Pantheon, I suppose.
Yeah, true.
Would be blind, of course, but no matter what you pick, it will be.
It's a lot of physical damage, so I could imagine that it is going to be the support
just
Pantheon. There's the Rise.
Yeah, I was going to say you could go for anything that's late game scaling, big boom boom. Like the Rise, I was thinking maybe Victor could have been a strong option here. Would have been pretty good into the Misfortune, but Rise is very powerful. You have 2 great side laning champions, and you have 2 globals as well with Pantheon Rise to rotate around the map and outpace a Cassante that's never really going to be a side lane threat.
Yep.
BDD, what are you going to play here? Something with setup would feel really nice, but there just isn't that much available.
I just want him to play TF for some reason, but instead
Orianna,
it's going to be Orianna.
I mean, that has some synergy, obviously, with the Misfortune. If you can get people to group up with your big shockwave, then it could potentially set up a combo that way. They have a lot of really nice single target pick.
I don't think it's quite enough to make me feel like they are performing the upset here today, but who knows? Game 2 did happen. Let's jump onto the Rift. All right, I love the guy leading the KT fan chants. He sounds just on the edge of sanity. And I think that's absolutely perfect for a KT fan. As KT themselves now stacked up pretty defensively, looking to see whether HLE are going to move in, and they can see that they are. Perfect, just snagged by a piercing arrow.
Just eat a little bit of damage. Comet picked up for Viper, so likely we have our answer in terms of the build he will be choosing. The go-to for lethality. And you've got the Pantheon as well to set up so much of that poke and dominance in the lane. Feels very strong. Could have even gone for Halo Blades if we were living in a different era for more lane dominance, but
Clockwork Wind-Up.
Ooh, that's your favorite thing, isn't it?
I love it so much.
I'm waiting for the Rage Blade comment.
It's not happening. I'm a Power of Evil fan now. I just wanted to build Nashes. BDD, of course, was a big enthusiast of the Orianna for quite some time.
He played it after she was relevant. He played it when Nocturne was banned, when we were only seeing Orianna with Nocturne. They did not pick Nocturne, and he's playing it. So he does like to play it. He likes to make the big hero plays. And when you're BDD on a team that needs you to make those, I mean, Orianna's got the agency for it. You know, he was known for playing Syndra in the past as well. These mages that can just warp a team fight with a sick play.
Ooh, Zeka moving forward, does manage to get that level 2 first. As Dr. and Peter getting poked out a little bit as Viper pretty happy to have a range advantage here for the first time in this best of 3. And Delight also has the same thing. So it's going to be a bit of a rough time for KT.
Yeah, 3 losing lanes. That's not a happy Nefiri make.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that Orianna probably should have a fair bit of control here in the mid lane.
But currently she does not.
No. Zeka is able to grab that level 2, and that really helped out. So that does make things look very dire. But lanes that are pushed up are gankable.
Yeah, until you just walk away, as Zeka is doing right now. And you saw that Cuz came over, thought maybe he could fish for something, but just too respectful is Zeka. BDD, though, even in CS, does not end up losing anything. Flashed. As Zeka looked to flash to kill him, I guess, is what happened there. They both
I guess
flashed.
something happened. There were some flashes that are now down in the mid lane. And I would say that that is generally better for KT, because they're the team that wants to get some earlier kills. And so if the Nefiri can set something up, that's going to be very, very strong. Perfect just looking to try and hold the wave as best he can. And that is working out here. Manages to grab that cannon. And look at these caster minions, just barely out of turret range.
Clean.
Yeah, that is a happy Cassante right there.
Just stave off the pressure. Survive, become tanky, give Showmaker nightmares. That's what he's looking to do.
Absolutely. That's all right. Peter in position. Peanut's moving over. Xanathblade is going to come on through as Peter makes a very long journey. Cuz wanting to go in. His Doggo's getting slightly aggressive, but the Ignite not going to be enough to take down Peanut by any stretch of the imagination.
Unfortunately, of the targets Nefiri is looking to execute and kill, Sejuani is probably not the one that was her favorite, but was definitely the one that was available, so you did give it a good try.
the college try, as it were. Not that I know what a college try is. Is that like an American sports ball type reference?
Yeah, it's, you know, try really hard because...
Why do you have to try? Wouldn't
I don't
you
know.
succeed?
I don't know. I actually,
why is it called a try?
I don't know.
Isn't that the result?
Sometimes people ask me about American idioms, and I just go, you have to know, you know, if you know, you know, and...
I know that Green Day song about American idioms. It's a really good one.
Yes. That song just, I feel like sometimes just, it's timeless, you know?
It's beautiful. All right, that's enough of that. ZEUS is going to throw down his Counter-Strike. Perfect actually playing it quite well here, as we can see. Getting a bunch of these grass procs as well.
Yeah, the wave's going to push towards him as well, so he's kind of just chilling.
Yeah, misses a couple of Qs in a row, so that evens things out for ZEUS quite nicely.
He's got a pot and 2 cookies.
ZEUS pretty close to level 6, which is somewhat scary if you're a Perfect fan. He only needs a couple more minions. This is so dangerous. There's the flash in. I don't know about that one, though, as ZEUS does hit that level 6. Needs another Empower or 2, but he's just going to back away, not going to push the envelope, and he's the one that used flash. Perfect holds on to his.
Yeah. Perfect tries to unstoppable the stun, fails, but still gets the shield and absorbs a lot of that pressure. Had his pot rolling, then drops a biscuit. Was so far away from 6, though, there was never really going to be an angle for him to turn there, unfortunately for him.
Yep. Did feel like ZEUS thought he had the angle.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't quite there.
Even ZEUS falls victim to Cassante.
Indeed.
Peter is kind of stuck in an awkward spot. Can't get up to support Duck Dom. This is actually a really good play for Delight. As in the 1v1, Viper is continuing to push there, so putting the pressure onto Duck Dom as well as controlling these grubs.
Ooh, Cuz going to be moving over, get some vision down. And Duck Dom only level 5, so no bullet times over the wall or anything like that. So Cuz now moving in, gets stunned up, and my god, goes untargetable for now. Already, Delight taking a fair bit of damage, but Cuz is out of this fight as well. Peter, and they dive on top of Zeka. He's just completely left to the wolves, or to the dogs, or whatever they are. And now Perfect is moving forward. He's so strong, goes all out onto Peanut, but they're also targeting Delight as well. He's under 100, he knows that he's dead. As ZEUS dives in, can he be the champion of HLE? And it looks like he may just be. BDD now just trying to kite him as best he can. It's not going to be enough, but ZEUS now may have overextended. Perfect slows him down with a Q. Cuz wanting to get one, but he's obviously got that Counter-Strike back available again, so they're not killing ZEUS.
Yeah, Cuz doesn't have 6. He's so close, but doesn't actually have it. I don't know if it would have been enough damage. I don't think so. Either way, can't use it there, so ends up being a trade back there. BDD the most relevant person in this setup for this fight, though, because he's Orianna. Ryze also has ultimate, but it's not really relevant for what you can do in a team fight here, as BDD is able to come over and look for a potential pick.
It's the Shockwave.
Yep, the Shockwave that gets Zeka, gets pulled in, and then, you know, Perfect looks for the follow-up here and they end up chasing down. By the way, all the while, ZEUS does not teleport. He walks his way up, so slowly gets his way in here, and they want to go for the punish onto him, but he is, of course, a Jax. BDD dying here means that this is just them biting off more than they can chew. Not 100% sure who got the grubs at the end of this, I believe.
It was KT.
KT, yeah, because Duck Dom went over and secured those.
Yeah, 2-1 now in favor of KT. Gold, not even worth having a conversation about. Feats of strength, it's just 2 kills on both sides, and that is it as far as the direction taken. So now it's as if it was the very beginning of Feats of Strength and no one's died yet. That's the battle as far as the kills are concerned.
Sure.
Pretty cool, it's cutthroat.
And where the gold goes here is 1 kill for Viper, obviously 1 kill for ZEUS, and then 2 kills for BDD.
Oh god.
The classic, BDD classic, of course, as we always like to say.
Would you say that a fair bit of this game is on BDD's shoulders?
I would, and I feel like I have to say that every time I watch or cast a KT game.
Yeah, maybe we could actually just use a Wolf soundboard for KT games now. And this game all comes down to BDD. That one, I imagine, has been said before.
I mean, we know that this is a meta where a mid laner can carry, and sometimes your ability to do so can make or break games. I mean, we saw Vikla try yesterday, had 10 kills on the Azir, but couldn't get it done. BDD 2-1 in this game, has a significant gold lead over Zeka, who's not having his best series, and has an opportunity. And BDD is known for big engages, right? That's, I would argue, what he is most famous for, and Orianna got it done at the beginning of that last team fight, and maybe he will continue to do so.
Well, let's just see. Right now it is ZEUS having a little bit of a look in, see whether he can try and bully out BDD, but he is now at a stage where he's very capable of destroying waves over and over again.
ZEUS is significantly behind in farm. He got that kill, but spent a lot of time chasing that down, and now laning into the bottom duo of KT, whereas Perfect pushed the lane in and is totally fine because he's Cassante into this Varus, and Pantheon can now just sit under the turret. And so you see that pretty significant CS advantage actually gives a slight gold lead to Perfect on this Cassante that is just going to be happy to sit back and become a tank boy.
Yeah, this whole wave is going to be lapped up by ZEUS, so that should be able to even things out just a little bit. But the fact that Perfect did get such an advantage is pretty impressive here for KT. Still, I mean, we ain't writing home about anything.
No, it's a very even game.
And even though, Zeka having a little bit of trouble in the lane, he's still just going to build his Catalyst, build his tier, and he'll be absolutely fine. Currently stacking where he needs to. Wants that Rod of Ages as soon as he can, but otherwise he will be sitting pretty.
Those poor ranged minions, BD want them so badly. Viper said no. It's a pretty quiet early game outside of that explosive fight we had.
I think it's nice to have some respite, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we know it's going to get crazy soon, so...
Yeah. We need that, the stage of the roller coaster just to really jump onto what Dagon was really trying to sell us. It's that point where you're getting just hoisted to the top, or like as it's on its way up.
I feel like that's when KT is winning, though. Right now, we're kind of at an even state. ZEUS is going to grab a plate. We're grouped up on these grubs again. Difficult to enter here against this Orianna. The ball was well placed. Teleport committed.
That's going to be 3. Chains of Corruption comes down, though, and in goes Delight straight into the back of the pit. That's going to be Peanut evening out the grub count, and over the wall goes Doctum. Now Perfect looking for his opportunity. This could be massive for this Cassante, but Zeka takes his opportunity and just locks them down. Delight, he has the bleed on him, but I just don't know whether it's going to be enough to kill him. It's close, but not enough.
Not quite there. Man, that was a very close team fight.
I feel like Perfect may have just murdered his teammate.
Yeah, a little bit there. But Duckdom actually gets a ton done, despite being engaged on, despite being that immobile Misfortune. So it's a double TP coming through here, but unfortunately for KT, the faster and closer one is Zek, as he does a lot of work here. But look at Duckdom actually is able to cleanse and flash the wall here, and it puts a lot of damage in over the wall. And yes, Zeka does come in and secure the kill, but dies doing so. It ends up being a pretty even trade here with the bleed and the slow of the Orianna ball. It looked like perhaps Delight was going to be taken out, but not quite. And we're back to kind of even footing, but the gold lead here for HANWHA Life, starting to feel it a little bit.
Yep, they get the Feats of Warfare as well, I guess, but HLE gets an extra 500 gold. That's about it. 3-3 in grubs means that we're not going to see any Void Mites, which is sad. I'm a bit of a fan of Void Mites. I think they're cute. Not going to see them this game. Maybe we'll see them in our next series. Man, it's crazy to think that there's another best of 3 after this. I feel like it's been most of my life in this series.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in my 50s now.
Yeah. Whew. It really does pass you by fast. It's KT now just clearing out some vision, and it looks like the Dragon going to be the next thing on the menu.
Rod of Ages picked up here for Zeka. He's doing the classic rise. As KT have a pretty nice group up here. No teleport for either of the top laners here. See that Perfect is heading his way down. ZEUS is taking a back opportunity right now. If KT are able to identify this, they may be able to look for a punish, but they're playing this so slow.
Yeah. Oh, Trinity Force done for ZEUS.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
That's huge. I mean, you take that opportunity to go back when you can get it, 100%. He doesn't actually go straight back to the Dragon. In fact, we'll go up to deal with Perfect instead.
Both of them without teleport, so...
Yeah, it's just... Dragon's going to be sitting there for a while, huh?
Yeah, why don't they like this? This is a Cloud Drake. It's a great Drake. Maybe they're protesting. They're like, that should be the soul. And that I can get behind.
You and I are going to have a talk later about how you can't just say that the Cloud Dragon is objectively the best. It's a subjective thing. KT might have different tastes about that.
No, I mean, it's objectively my favorite.
There you go. KT may tend to agree, though, as they are going to start this one up. And they have, once again, with BDD, Orianna ball control here in the choke. Does relinquish it, though.
Yeah. Cuz looking for a little bit of an engage opportunity. So is Peter. As the Glacial Prison goes wide, the Leona is going to go down. And now Peanut looking for more. Untargetable, though, is Cuz, as his doggos take a bit of the damage. Otherwise, it is fine.
And Peter's
HLE,
just living that Leona life, you know. His team gets the objective, he goes down.
He's so good at heroically falling on his sword. That is such a Peter thing to do.
Yeah.
And sacrifices himself for the dragon. I don't know whether that's worth it, but it was heroic nonetheless.
Well, he's going to feel less good about it if they lose this turret, but it looks like it is going to be staved off. Meanwhile, Perfect putting some damage onto this one, but he is Cassante after all, so I don't think that ZEUS was ever worried about losing this one. We'll clear this wave.
Yep.
It's back to kind of square one here. Again, the lead, though, for HANWHA Life is getting bigger each and every moment, especially with that kill, just stacking it up. Now it's 1,000, and they have these big side lane threats.
Perfect missing some Qs, but otherwise playing this lane really well. Even though he is relatively low on health for this moment in time. 20 CS in the lead as the Cassante.
Peter? Okay, that was scary.
Yeah. Okay, as I was singing his praises, it's possible that Perfect is dead. He goes all out. Let's see whether he can get out, and he does. Turret shot taken by ZEUS, but that, unfortunately, the teleport a little bit slow. Shockwave comes in, and that's not a Nocturne. That's an Ethereal, and it still works.
Close enough. Also, ZEUS dead, but 1,000 kills.
I love it when they come up right as they die. Oh, 1,000 kills. That is 5th in the LCK as well, just ahead of Kana, who's having a pretty good time over in the LEC.
5th and top, of course, to
Yes.
fully contextualize, but yeah, I think everybody got it. And yeah, it ended up being a better situation than I thought it was going to be there, as BDD committed the teleport. If they don't get that kill and he commits the TP, it's a disaster. Peter looked like maybe he was in danger, but he commits the recall, which means they can't actually punish the initial
perfect
play.
He's a bit frustrated about dying earlier and manages to nail the Q this time around. Doesn't have all out, so I think Zeker is going to survive because like this guy just does not do that much. Oh, never mind. Maybe he does do the damage. Perfect's like, I'm tanky. Looking for the Q. Does not quite get it, but man.
Perfect. If you flash for that, you get him.
Peter can kill him. He's managing to land the Solar Flare, and he's looking to tank this one up. One more turret shot is almost enough to kill him because, man, you lose Eclipse and Aftershock, and you're taking a big chunk, but calculated.
And Perfect doesn't keep his flash, as Peanut looks like he's just barely going to miss.
Oh, my God. Are they both going to get out? Well, no. Perfect is not. He does have all out now. As the smite comes in, but the flail is going to take him down once again. Perfect on the floor, but I think that was still really cool. He got Peter a kill, which is great. Turret does go down in the bottom lane and in the top lane here, as we can see. The feats of strength go over to HLE though, so now we're still battling for these objectives, and another one is going to be taken here by KT.
Yeah, ZEUS is also Jax, and he takes half of the inner. Yeah. So it's not really a even trade. And also because Perfect died, things are feeling better for HANWHA in that regard as well. Yes, they did kill Zeka, but they committed a Cassante flash for it. It was very messy, and there was a punish to come through. Herald is in the hands of Cuz, and that's going to be probably just dropped in the mid lane. And we'll see the timing of that might link up with this Dragon to try to give them some additional prio here.
Zeka could be in trouble. There's an Ethereal in the area.
There is, but not going to opt into it.
I love the confidence that Perfect's playing with. I was actually criticizing him for exactly this earlier on today, and the fact that he hasn't been playing with the same level of confidence that we have seen from him in Challenger, things like this, but he often seems so meek here in the LCK.
Yeah.
Not in this game. This guy is just looking for scraps all over the place.
He certainly feels one with Cassante.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. Just utilizing his kit really well. Not even hitting all of his Qs, but that's, you know, Cassante mains know that's not 100% necessary.
No, it's not what it's about. Is now BDD could be in a little bit of trouble. Delight maybe going a little further than he needs to. BDD finding 2 with the Shockwave, now trying to get out, but the counter-strike should stop him. Permafrost comes in. Peanut just going to do a bit of a fadeaway on that one. And that is a kill onto the mid laner, but they do give up a lot of positional advantage around this map. Doctor pushing in mid, and you've got to push in the top lane as well. As now Perfect going to be moving on over. Piercing Arrow, not going to be able to get rid of all of the minions, but still does manage to get them away from this turret.
And Ducktom, I feel like, is trying to keep, or Peter rather, is trying to keep Ducktom on a leash. It's like, man, we've already done this a few times. We've overextended a little bit. He's running up to make sure that he can get out of there. Nothing bad does happen. Delight did already use his ultimate, so there wasn't going to be a punish angle there or anything like that. But you can see the rotational power of this composition for HANWHA Life, and their side lane pressure is so real.
Yeah.
And KT, they're pushing a little bit with the Cassante, but it just doesn't hit the same. They will be able to grab this dragon, though, as HANWHA Life do relinquish control after that pick in the bottom lane.
Look at that. Like, quintuple upgrades of some shoes.
Yeah.
Well and truly prepared for those feats of strength. And that is quad mercs as well. If you see Glacial Prison, Counter-Strike, Rune Prison, Chains of Corruption, and Delight jumping on top of you, yeah, you're probably going to build merc treads.
Not to mention all the magic resistance.
Hey, there you go.
Well, it is a Chemtech Soul, so the 2 Drake lead feeling a little bit less relevant than, for example, the HANWHA Life Drake lead we saw with the Infernal Soul in the previous game. Still relevant, though, and I think this game, if it continues at this pace, HANWHA Life will just outrun KT on the map. KT need to win some team fights. Getting a dragon, getting a second dragon without getting kills, without snowballing the game further, I feel like is not enough. They got 2 kills on the Fury, maybe a third?
Well, Cuz is just going to dive forward. There is once again the combo, and Zeka realizes, okay, that's the world's shortest realm warp, but it's fine. He's just still able to get himself out. And he used all of their CC, as it turns out.
And just roots the Neferi and walks away.
Yep.
Easy peasy. Looked very good for KT for a moment. Now BDD does not have ult.
Yeah, so Shockwave, of course, not on the longest cooldown of all time.
There's also nothing to fight for, so it's probably okay.
Perfect is in this mid lane now, just dealing with these minions. ZEUS takes a turret shot, and Perfect with another Q charged up, looking for an opportunity here. As Viper's had, it feels like a quiet game. He is sitting on 2-0-2 right now with about a 40 CS advantage.
Yeah.
He has certainly been eating good.
I feel like ZEUS has definitely been the most relevant player here in terms of what he's done this game. Like, he's 1,200 gold ahead. He's jaxing really hard. He keeps hitting turrets. He put a ton of pressure on that mid turret. Wasn't able to quite take it out, but it's a breeze away from death now as he's just constantly applying that side lane pressure. Knows that he can continue to do so because both Beryl and Zeka, or sorry, not Beryl, I just put Pantheon in my brain. I think Beryl. Both Delight and Zeka can back him up so easily. I'm sure Beryl at home is like cheering him on as well, but
yeah,
you know, the ZEUS angle here and how difficult it is to deal with him when we move towards objectives like Baron, like Otacon, is going to be a big problem every time his teleport is up, which it is about to be up in just a moment here, because, you know, Perfect did great in the early game, but isn't going to be able to deal with him anymore.
Well, Peanut is going to get the Captain Jack out of Doctom. He has to flash to get out of the way of the Chains of Corruption, but he passes all of the tests. You love to see it. Cuz now bouncing on top of the Sejuani after throwing down this Rift Herald. Let's see whether they can get themselves a charge, because it was put down in a pretty awkward spot. Perfect in position, though. And now it's Peter. Has a bit of a charge opportunity. Breaks open the turret. And that is going to put KT within touching distance of the gold. 2 minutes on this Drake as well. That is going to be Soul Point. Even though it's Chemtech, still going to be relevant.
Uh-oh.
As Audio Peanut getting hit by the Zenith Blade. Another Shockwave connecting onto 2 because going down so low, he's going to need to go untargetable soon. And he just isn't going to be able to. That is going to be the Rise picking up the kill. And now Counter-Strike right on top of Doctom. ZEUS, do they have the CC for him? That's the question. The answer is absolutely not. Peter going to have to flash out of the way, and he does do so. But HLE demonstrating that, yeah, they're in a pretty good position this game. Now looking for an Otacon themselves. This could be the game broken open.
I thought I mentioned it earlier. You know, the Sejuani's not the one that the Fury normally wants to kill. But Cuz did try his best, and Peanut survives, which means he's here to smite this. There's no Cuz, there's no KT around this Otacon. It's disaster after Delight is able to chase down with his ultimate as well. There was no getting out of there for KT after such a heavy commitment. They could have been happy with just the turret, but they decided to look for more. If this was Zeka who got engaged on, if this was Viper who got engaged on, it's a beautiful play. But unfortunately, it's a Sejuani who just doesn't really take that much damage. Cuz tries to over-index on this, or well, frankly over-index, so tries to at least turn that into a kill and fails to do so. And now you can chase with Pantheon. There's no way out of this for Doctom. That's a carry dead. Peter flashes away, but that's Otacon in the hands of HANWHA Life Esports, and this makes their side lane threats even more dangerous when collapsing on them and killing them is hard enough, but then if they die, they just withdraw and don't care. And there's a dragon up.
Yeah, dragon going to be up in 20 seconds time. KT still wanting to withdraw some members of HLE. As you can see, all grouping up here in the mid lane, wanting to fight for their soul point opportunity.
I mean, look at the push here from Zeka, who has TP. He's putting the pressure on that turret, and KT are struggling to rotate over and deal with it. That's just going to be a dead inner.
Yeah. I don't know whether they're going to be able to do anything about that, as they are at least rotating over. Zeka might be in a little bit of trouble. Remember, can withdraw, so he isn't exactly the end of the world. But still, it's giving away this is not a huge deal.
It's not a huge deal, but this is the power of that Rise push. Jack's pushing mid at the same time. They have to go over and deal with the Rise. They barely defend the turret, but it means it's a free dragon. ZEUS wants more.
Oh dear. Doctor in a little bit of trouble here. Chains of Corruption go wide once again. Oh, it's a decent shield, but not quite enough. And ZEUS, he doesn't even have to withdraw.
He will withdraw, you know, by pressing B, but yeah, not a technical withdrawal.
Yeah.
And, you know, Zeka's like,
dead again.
I'm going to finish the job I started on this turret. You chase down one solo laner, the other one pops up, and you chase down the other solo laner, and the other one pops up back in the bottom lane. And then ZEUS goes straight to the top lane with a teleport. It's like whack-a-mole. They're killing all these turrets so fast, and as soon as you deal with one, another one creeps up. Oh, we push the Jax back. Uh-oh, Zek is back in the mid lane, and now this turret's going down. It's just a great macro game here from HLE.
It's really difficult. You mentioned this already, that HLE were going to start pulling them around the map, and that has continued. KT now finding themselves in a 6,000 gold deficit, just sort of by blinking.
Yeah, watch this from ZEUS. He knows he has the Otacon buff, so he doesn't care if he dies here. Gets on top of Duck Dom. There's a commitment here with the Pantheon as well to guarantee it. Then they just take out the turret, so he walks out scot-free.
Yeah, and he looks so calm while he does it. I would have been screaming. Now, once again, going to be face checking here. 3 versus 1. I reckon ZEUS may even like those odds.
Yeah, I think he feels pretty comfortable. He has a arm guard now. An arm guard, he already had the Sunder for a really long time.
Oh yeah.
He's had that for quite some time, and now he's just ready to continue to hit turrets. As is Zeka, but he's got quite a distance to cross before the next one, because there just really aren't that many turrets left here for KT at this stage. 6,000 gold behind. Baron is the next objective. You can just push all this prio forward, push some vision around the Baron pit, and then threaten that take. And KT will have to respond, and this is where, you know, you look at those gold leads here. Zeka, Viper, ZEUS, they're just so far ahead. It's so challenging for KT to find an angle. They have that Nefiri Orianna combo. They have Misfortune to potentially look to, with that, layer a ton of damage, but HANWHA Life are very aware of it, and if you don't have vision, it's so hard to set up those combos, and you're fighting blind. The composition for KT feels so much weaker.
Yeah. KT really, it just feels like they don't have a lot of options at this point in time. It's also kind of crazy that Zeka has the most gold in the game when, you know, he died early on. He's 2-3-1, not exactly the most phenomenal as far as like score lines, but he's just been in side lanes, taking structures, and the local gold really stacking up. It was a large reason why ZEUS had such a huge lead in the mid game as well, when he was behind Perfect for most of the game when it came to farm. Still is right now, but it doesn't matter. Grabs a couple of kills, has recently added a few extra ones on top of that at the same time. And now he's looking to fight BDD. Let's see whether Peter and Cuz are going to be enough to stop this Jax from destroying them. The Young comes in. Delight now finds himself in front of 3 people. BDD going to get stabbed as the Pantheon is going to go down, but he sacrifices himself for it. Sidestep there on the piercing arrow is good, as Cuz will find the gap close. And Viper with his Edge of Night is going to be able to stave that one off quite comfortably.
Bit sloppy here from HANWHA, but you can respect the idea. Just hard push. He has the arm guard, so you have that extra time window. Delight comes in. Everyone's so squishy on KT. Want to lock down that target. Ends up being a trade, though. But it's a trade up for HANWHA. You know, mid for support.
That Mega Cone really did not do very much Mega Blasting.
Yeah, it's not quite
really weird.
The way Zeka
Look at
wanted
this.
it to go.
Peter does it. It's really big.
Yeah. ZEUS goes in here 1v3, but it's not truly 1v3 because Pantheon can show up at a moment's notice. They target BDD. He goes golden. Then they try to force this one. Unfortunately for Delight, the Ignite isn't going to be enough, so he has to go in further to guarantee the kill. He's going to die no matter what, so I think it was the right call there, but they trade one back. But it doesn't do anything for KT's vision control. It doesn't do anything for their lack of map control that they pick off the support here. as now that everybody resets, they're in the same situation they were in before. At least they have a little bit of Baron vision before Peanut clears it.
Yeah, Cuz going to be able to take down his Raptor camp and now move towards a potential Soul Point angle if they would like to, but with all of HLE now around the Baron, I think that's perhaps where they need to pay some attention. Some vision now given over as KT get the bad news that this Baron has been started. They're going to have to back away from trying to get some of this Dragon vision.
ZEUS does have teleport, and you have to be wary of his potential flank angles. There's just not a whole lot of vision control, or especially control vision for KT around the pit. So, pushing them off is one thing, but doing anything after that, when ZEUS isn't showing, you gotta be scared.
Oh dear, Cuz down to half health immediately. Permafrost not going to be doing too much there as Doctime, another Captain Jack. That's going to work out. Chains of Corruption again going wide. And Doctime actually some smooth footwork there as in goes Peter. I don't know about that, but still, they're going to force ZEUS to use his Zhonya's one more time. Peanut going aggressive, but it's Peter that goes down. ZEUS tries to dive in. This guy is immortal! As Perfect, he goes all out, and that should be able to get him. Never mind! He is actually impossible to kill as HLE are now underneath turrets. BDD had just respawned, it feels like, and is dead once again. That's an ace, and the first stand champs, I think, are looking to win their first series of the LCK 2025.
Man, what a game from ZEUS on the Jax. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your greatest top laner of all time, and he's not done yet. He's got one more structure to kill, Atlas.
And it's a Leona. Oh, wait, no, the Nexus. That's what you were talking about. That is going to go down. And ZEUS going to have